Okay, so can you all see my screen? Is it visible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just another, say, 1 more minute. Let's wait for few more participants to join and then we can start the session. Okay, so I think we have a reasonable number to begin with. So my name is Karthik. I have been a part of the course support team since the start of the program. Earlier, I was a part of the computational thinking team, and then I was a part of the Python team last term when it was first offered, and I'll be one of the uh, members supporting the Python team this time as well. We have another co-support team member, Ram. Ram, you might have seen from Stats One, so he'll be handling Python this time. So the two of us will be helping you out on the forum and during the live sessions. So there is a certain plan that we'll be following for the 3 sessions, right? So we will look at that. So I'll get started by sharing this Replit screen. Okay, so a lot of things will be introduced to you. If you're not familiar with them, we'll get used to all these things in this session. Right, so this is an open session, but it's not just an open session. I would call it more along the lines of open come summary session. So this will be every Friday, right? So if the content gets released on a Friday, usually every Friday we will release a week's content. Then you will roughly have 1 week's time to go through the content and kind of understand what's happening in that particular week. And on Friday, in this open come summary session, we will give you an overview of whatever has happened during the week and then prepare you for the programming and graded assignments that you'll have to solve, right? So actual solving of the programming assignments will not happen in the open session. It will happen tomorrow, that is on Saturday, and there will be one more coding session on Tuesday. So Saturdays and Tuesdays will be live coding. Here again we'll be coding, but it won't be to a particular problem statement, right? So that's the general session plan. Coming to this particular session, I have certain discussion points already prepared here. And what I would like to do is spend the first 1 hour or so discussing all these things. And then I'll take up, doubts. So until that time, I won't be addressing any specific doubts. Once we complete these, 8 agenda points, most of your doubts I am hoping would have been cleared by then, right? So until that time, please bear with me, and then we can get started with your specific questions that are there for this week.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir. Sir, I just wanted to say that today week 2 content has been released, but I couldn't see the Python week 2 content, sir. I mean, today it was supposed to be released, right, sir?
Yeah. So we just released it, and I think the announcement will go out. So you will be able to.
Okay, I was unable to see that. Oh, just a second, I will have to check.
Yeah. No. So no hurries. We see.
Okay.
Just released it, and it will go out. The announcement hasn't gone out.
Okay.
So once that goes out, I think you will be able to
Okay, sir.
All right. So we will finish these points and then we'll get back to.
So just before starting, just one general point, sir.
Yeah.
Actually, sorry, as you said, the Saturday and Tuesday will be the live coding session, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So just one small request, because since I am a working professional, so if this session will held after 7, like today's 7 to 9, that will be fine. If it is 4 or 5 or in morning, say 9 to 11, it is extremely difficult for people like me to attend those sessions.
Okay. Yeah. But see, the session timings are more or less fixed. We don't have any morning sessions for Python.
Fine. And in evening, sir, if it is after 7, means 7 to 9, this time is very comfortable. Otherwise, I am in trouble, because before 6:30 it is very difficult for me to reach home or attend this session.
Yeah. Right. Okay. We'll keep that in mind. But see, there are like 13 odd courses being offered. So we'll have to keep all these courses in mind. We'll try to see what can be done. Okay.
Since this is programming, because live session is more useful. Other thing I can, means we can go through in later stage through YouTube, but this is something different from others.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So we'll keep that in mind. We'll see what can be done.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah. So without further delay, I'll get started. See, this first point on the agenda is introduction to Replit and what we call Replit teams. Right. So Replit, I think you have already been introduced to it through the professor's lectures. But if you are still not familiar, what I would suggest is log in to replit.com. Right. So replit.com and log in using your online degree email ID. So there'll be a prompt which asks you to log in, and you can select your Google login. That should work, right? So the typical way to create what is called a REPL is you could do it two ways. You have a button here, plus button here, or you could click on this and then select the language. We'll be only having Python, and title could be anything, right? So demo REPL is what I want to give as the title, and you just create the REPL. All right. So once you create a REPL, it's as simple as going ahead and typing stuff, right? So print hello world, and then that should get executed once you click on the run button, right? So this is the way to get started with Replit. All right. So some of you in the forum, I have seen that you try to create folders and run your code there, which is perfectly fine. So let's say you create a file like this, call it week_1.py, and you're practicing something, let's say, right? So you want to print the string week 1, and when you click the run button, what happens is that the content inside this file doesn't get executed, right? It still executes what is there in main.py, right? So what you have to do in such cases is you need to import the file that you're using, right? So you have to add this statement called import week_1, and then you have to click run, right? So whenever you run it, whatever content is there in main.py, only that will get executed.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir.
Yeah.
Can you please explain it again, sir? Sorry, I couldn't understand this.
Okay. Which part do you are unable to
This
grasp?
import what you said before that, what you created a folder called week1_1.py.
No.
That I couldn't.
Yeah. See, I created a file called week_1.py. Right. So the reason I do this is my observation has been that over the last few days in the forum, many of the students are trying to create files and organize their learning process such that, say, week 1 there is a folder called week 1, and then inside week 1 they have one file to practice string problems, and another one to practice problems on operators and so on. So it's a good practice, but the if you want to run a piece of code inside another file, right? So let's say week underscore one.py. If you want to run another file, then sorry, if you want to run that particular code, if you click on the run button, right? So I'll delete this. If you click on the run button, you will notice that nothing gets executed.
Okay.
Okay, that's because Replit by default, the way it works is run button for Replit is equivalent to executing whatever is there in the file main.py.
Okay, so whatever we store, whatever we write the code in main.py, that only will be executed, not the folder one, file one.
Yeah. So if you want to execute what is there in another file, you'll have to do this thing called import week underscore one. Right?
Okay.
Import file name. So file name.py, import file name. That's what you have to do, and then the whatever is there in the other file will get executed.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay. So this is one basic thing I wanted all of you to understand. So I don't know if like many of you are in front of your systems. I would like all of you to join this thing called Teams, right? So Teams is where we'll be doing most of our live coding, right? So there is a team. There's going to be a team for Python. This is Python September 2021 batch. So we are going to create. We have already created a team.
Okay.
Okay, so I want all of you to join this team. I'll post the link in Zoom chat. Okay, so if you click on this particular link, you'll join this Python Sep 2021 team. Right? If possible, I would like all of you to do it right away.
So where I can find this team?
So you have to just click on that link, which I have just posted in the chat. So you are all a part of Discourse, right? Or like I see that some of you do not have access to the Discourse forum.
Yes, Karthik. When I try to join, it says an account is required, and when I use my student ID, it does not allow me. It says it's by invitation only.
Oh, okay. So I think
Sir, after clicking the link, this page is coming. What is your? Do we have to click on the link only, or after that also we have to?
It is working, sir.
no, you have to log into Replit first, and then you have to log in using your online degree.
Sir, I think we have to log into the Replit with our student ID. Then only this link works for us.
I think so.
Yes, yeah, please do that, right? So you have to log in using your student ID, and then you have to enter the key. It is advised that you don't use any other ID other than the student ID for all activities related to the course, right? Whatever it may
Sir,
be.
there is an option. Can you click on Karthik POD? There is small arrow there.
Which one? What do you like? What do you want to know?
In the left corner, there is @Karthik POD, and there is some symbol like a kind of thing. Can you click on that and go in account section?
No. Why do you want to do that?
Yeah, I mean, when we go in that, there is there is option in that is Google, and we have to connect to our student ID.
Yeah. So yeah, right. So if I log out, then I can show you that process, but I don't want to do that because it should be straightforward. You just have to log in.
Yeah, I am just telling people to how to.
Yeah. Right. Okay, I think most of you have started joining in. I'll tell you what you have to do in Teams. So that will come in some time.
Hello.
So joined here, it is showing week 1, week 2 like this.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it won't, in fact, it won't show you any projects. So I'll explain that. So I'm just waiting for most of you to join.
Sir,
Just a second.
So that link would directly make us join, right? We don't have to press any other button on the Replit, right?
No. But please join using your
Yeah, sure. Using student.
student ID. Yeah. Okay, so I think most of you are here. I just we'll get started. So this Teams is a place where all of us can come together and code, right? There's the idea of what is called a project. Okay, so this will be discussed tomorrow in tomorrow's live session. What I wanted to do today was to get you all into the team so that tomorrow's live session can happen
Sir, sorry,
more
sir.
peacefully. Yeah.
Sir, I clicked on the link. This is showing week 1, week 2. Is this mean I have joined, or should I press any other link?
No. This means you have joined.
Okay. By just pressing the
Sir,
link.
so
the
just
timing
by
for the tomorrow
clicking the
session?
link, do we get joined inside the team?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you won't see anything now.
Sir, what's the time for tomorrow's session?
Please check your calendar. No, I also don't know right now. I think it's from 5 to 7, but I am not sure. So your calendar is what you'll have to be checking every time. Okay, so this is kind of done. One thing alone I would like to record here, which is I'll keep doing this, okay, so that this document will be made available, or this project will be made available to you. So you don't have to take down notes or anything. If you want to run another file from within.
So it would be better if you add this link in this document. If by chance we get logged out of the team.
No. You won't go out of the team. I will publish this project. So this will always be there with you. It won't go anywhere.
Can we see our members which we have joined in this team?
Sorry?
I mean, I want to see myself if I've joined in this team which you send the link or not. I mean, the members.
No, you can't see the members. You will not be able to see the members.
So tomorrow session is something telling around 6 to 8 p.m. tomorrow.
Okay, then that should be the one. Okay, so add this in main.py, import week _1. So this is basically what I wanted to cover, right? So, right. Okay, so we'll go now to the next point on the agenda, which is how to accept input from the console, right? So this could probably be troubling you, right? So the basic way is to just have, say, x equal to input of, right? And when you run this, x is now 1, right? So this is the most basic way of accepting input from the console, right? As simple as that. Nothing complicated as far as this is concerned, right? So any questions regarding input, accepting input from the user regarding the specific thing? Okay, right. So if there are no further questions, I will move on to the next point.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, you write there x equals to input, and in the parenthesis it was nothing. So you in the console you typed a number, and then you print the x. So that number was printed. I mean, it was printed.
Yeah.
So okay, when we do this, we have to input in the console, or should we also do this in the in this where you write the code just now?
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
My question is that the input which the program which you wrote, x equals to input. So inside the bracket, can we write also input, or should we have to go to the console and provide the input there?
No. So whatever you type here will not go inside X. So
okay.
Yeah. So what you type here is, for example, you can type a prompt, right? So enter the input as, and then what will happen is this prompt will be displayed on the screen.
Okay.
And no matter what you enter, this enter the input will not go into X. So if you type X here,
okay,
you'll see that X is 5 and not the string 5 and not enter the input. So this is like.
So this is what you did is just to in the console we can do that input. We can enter the input there. We can't do it in the main function. I mean, where you wrote the function.
Yeah. So this is what is called an editor, right? So this is called the editor.
This is editor. Okay, sir.
There is no way of entering input here. I mean, so you could hard code the input like x equal to 5, but there is no way of interacting with the editor in the way you interact with the console.
Okay.
Also, so since we have not specified any data type here, so we can also write a character. It's not like we can also write a string in the console.
Yeah. So you can write anything. Yeah, you can write a string also, and it will just right. So few points then, since you have all brought it up. D2, right? This is what D1. How to accept input. So you just do this, right? And what else was asked? Okay, so you can also prompt the user by providing an argument to the input command, right? By argument, I mean whatever goes inside this brackets, right? So this argument has to be a string. Let's try it out. Let's see if this argument can be anything other than a string. So I just say 100 and try to run it. Okay, so apparently it works. Okay, so this might be confusing. So our it is, this argument need not be a string. So I'll just avoid that. All that I will say is you can provide a prompt here, as in this. So I'll add that also. So don't mistake me. I'll keep moving back between these two, so that this becomes a document, reference document, even after we finish the session. Enter a number, let's say, right? And this is also valid, but what will happen is when you try to run it, this enter a number will be printed to the console, right? It's better to avoid doing this when you are not writing an interactive program. So did you get that part, whatever I just said? When you are not writing an interactive program, by that I mean when you are submitting your code on the portal, right? You are not trying to interact with a real user in any way. You are actually trying to interact with a machine, with another machine. So it's unnecessary to add all these things, right? So I noticed that some of you add these strings in the input function or the input command, and that ends up printing something onto the console.
One question, can we also use any other file for the input, like text file, Excel file, to get the data from that file? And
yeah, that will happen in week 9. Okay, so week 8 or week 9.
Okay.
Right, but it's a like long way to go. We can do it, but there is like a lot of things that we need to learn before we can go to accepting.
Okay. Sure, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so that's about basic input, a basic way of accepting input. I would like to add that please avoid having strings inside the input command. I don't want to use the word function because we haven't yet understood what functions are. All right, so how to accept an integer? That is the next point. How to accept an integer as input? Okay, and go back to the console. So the first thing you need to note is that input always processes or always returns a string, right? No matter what you enter here in the console. So you could enter ABC, and if you notice the type of X, it is a string, right? And if I'll run it again, if you enter 100 and you ask what the type of X is, it is still a string, right? X, if you type X in the console, you'll see it comes with the single quotes. So it's not a number, right? If you try to do X equal to X plus 1, you'll get an error, right? So you can only concatenate strings and not an integer and a string. Sorry, not a string and an integer, right? So it's a very important point because this is the most important point, I would say, as far as week 1 is concerned, because you in almost every program you will keep accepting input from the user, and it's very important to know what input you are accepting, whether it's a string or an integer or a real number. So any questions, anyone here?
So what do you say ki inside input, whatever we are giving, that is basically a string?
Yeah, exactly. Whatever you enter in the console, no matter whether it's a number, it's a real number, like say 123.45 is a real number. It doesn't matter whether it could be some sentence or a word or an integer. No matter what you enter, it gets processed as a string.
Okay.
Sir, even Boolean values, right?
Yeah, everything. So even if you enter true, X is the string true and not the Boolean value true.
That means, sir, if I want my X, this variable, to be taken an integer value from the interactive means the person whom I interact with, then I have to mention this int, then input of this.
Yeah, right. So there are two ways to do it. Ideally, this is like a more elaborate, but elaborate way is to say accept this X as input and then convert it to an integer. Okay, and so this is like the elaborate way of doing it. So if you type X now, it will be the integer 10 and not the string 10, right? Because X is in line 1, X is a string. In line 2, it has become an integer.
So you mean to say that whatever we type in input, it is always a string?
Yeah. So anything that if it's input, raw input, right, like this, it's always a string.
Always a string. Okay. Yeah. Then if we have to convert it into any of the data type, we can simply do this by x equals to int of x. Means if we have to convert into integer.
Yeah. So since you will be using this so often, there is a simpler way of doing it. It's not simpler, but a one-line way of doing it, which is this, right? X equal to int of input of. It's the same as these two lines.
It has been merged.
Yeah. So this is like I don't know if have you all done function composition in Max 1? So Max 1 first 4 weeks.
Max 1, yes.
Okay, yes. So this is like function composition, right? It's like f of g of X. F of g of X.
Okay.
Right. So input will happen first, and then that will be converted to integer. So it's like lines 1 and 2, but we are putting them together in a single statement. Take an input from the user. So this is what it means. Take an input from the user and convert it into an integer. This is what this whole thing means.
But it is having some limitations, sir.
Yes, yeah, right. You are right.
Because in input value, you always have to put the integer value, otherwise it will give an error.
Right. Yeah. Because that is the way it has been designed. So if you try to say enter a real number, see the Python, we call this the Python interpreter, right? So the Python interpreter will get confused because you are entering, it expects an integer, whereas you are entering a real number like
Is
1.23, right?
So, sir, so should we use float of input?
Yeah.
That will work in most of the cases.
Float is for real number.
Yeah, so that will work in most of the cases, but if your most of our problem statements, right, it will explicitly state that accept an integer as input from the user or from the console. So in that case, I request you all to stick to an integer. So see, one of the things about programming is when the specification is clear, right? By specification, what I mean is when it has been very clearly mentioned what the input type is going to be, then you might as well follow that, right? So you are right in that float is more generic than int, that, and it will not throw an error. But if the input is very clearly defined that it's an integer, then you don't need to use float.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I have opened my Replit, and when I make a new file and import it into the main one file, then it works. But when I make a new file in a new folder, then the import one thing is not working.
Yeah, that
I mean,
won't
the
work.
console is not responding.
Yeah, that
Yes,
won't
sir.
work.
Same problem. Actually, it detects that main function doesn't present or something like that.
Yeah, so that won't work. So if you want to run it from a main folder, you will have to, so let's say like week one, and you are creating within week one, you are creating a file dot, let's say, test.py. Okay, then what you'll have to do is, if you want to run this, you'll have to import week one dot test, right? I would advise, I mean, not advise, advice is a strong word. I would suggest you don't do this, right? So you can, the REPLs are always free, right? Creating a REPL is like just a
Sir,
1 minute job.
actually, what I'm asking is that in this same case, if we are going to run that test.py, so it shows us error.
I don't get you. Can you explain once again what's not
Yeah,
working?
sir. Wait for a while.
Okay, so
Sir,
I'll continue then. What?
Sir, if we run any code in that test.py, yeah.
Okay.
Now, sir, it's
So
working.
that code doesn't run.
No, it will run. So if you do this, it should run. So for example,
Okay, we have to mention that import in the main file.
yeah, but see, that's what I said. So I don't want to confuse things beyond a point. Let's not do too many folder business, right? So maintain one REPL per week and have all of your files in the main folder, right? So that is, I would suggest it's easier than having to do this import business too many times.
Sorry, I'm completely lost in this point.
Yeah. So don't worry.
Please,
So see this.
explain.
No. That's what I said, right? So I don't want to go into this folder business at all. Forget that. So just you are able to you understand how to run code from main.py, right? That's all matters.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's all matters. So let's get back.
So, sir, should we maintain only one file? No. This import thing is not yet introduced in this. I mean, as we are new to this course, so this import, what you said, was out of my mind. So
Yeah. See, that's what. See, I would say whatever coding you want to do it in main.py. If you
yes, sir.
want to save anything, then what you do is you create a new file and copy it to that file. Let's say you write this piece of code and you want to maintain a copy somewhere, then you can always do that. Go to this week1.py, save it, and whenever you want to run it, just copy it back to main.py.
Okay.
Okay.
Sir,
So
for
yeah,
saving, there is no other bottom. It is auto saved.
yeah, it is auto save. So it just saves.
Sir, you have a discussion thing coming up under main.py. So I am not able to see that in my folder.
No, this is like I have created it. So this won't be visible to you.
Okay.
Right?
Fine.
But this will be shared. Yeah. So see, I just want to summarize this.
Okay. So basically, sir, how to, let's say I am in Replit. So basically,
Okay.
so I go there in the main.py and just start what we are so basically coding kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So just enter main.py and you can just start typing code.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And if we have to save it in any other file or folder, we can create a file beneath main.py.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So I'm going to note this point down. Input always returns a string. So if you want to accept an integer as input, then do the following. Right. So this is the basic summary of this particular discussion point. Right. So D2, any questions before we move on? So float values, all that we mentioned.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So this input function will always take argument as string, or it will return the string?
Input function will take argument as, so it will take anything as argument, but what do you mean by argument here? Like it should be clear.
Input what we write in that brackets, no?
That argument are you talking about, or what I enter in the console?
What you enter in the
whatever we enter in the console.
What I understand that it's in take anything like such an 10, 20, but return as a string.
Yeah, that is all you need to know at this stage. So it'll take, yeah, as you mentioned, it will take anything, and it will just, if you print it, it will just print that. So I'm just printing it here. So whatever, it could be number, it could be say a real number, it could be a combination of numbers and real numbers. So it could be an alpha. This is again some alphanumeric string. It doesn't care about. It's very democratic in that sense. So it will just take in whatever you enter here and it will spit that out. Okay, any more questions in input? I think
yes, sir.
Is there
regarding the file, sir? Sir, can we not run code through other files other than the main.py?
That I have discussed. So you can go back to this live sessions first 15 minutes, and then you can.
Sir.
Yeah. Any questions on input alone, please?
Yeah. Is there a reason why Python was designed so it can only take string as the input? I mean, it converted string into the input.
Okay, this is a good question. I don't have a proper answer here, because for that I need to dig into why it was done this way myself, right? So I don't have a valid answer at this stage. But one intuitive reason could be that at the console, right? You essentially enter a bunch of buttons on your keyboard, right? It's some string basically, right? So the way you interact with the console is through your keyboard, right?
Yeah.
Right, and it's just a bunch of characters.
Yes.
It could be some alphanumeric sequence or special characters. So whatever goes from you into the input function is treated as a string, and then later on you as a programmer direct the interpreter or the Python backend to do what you want with it. So treat it as a number or leave it as a string. So I know it's not a very convincing answer, but at this stage this should be fine, I guess.
Yeah, we haven't learned about array yet in this program, but does it treat the string as a type of array?
String, yeah. We'll come to that. So how does, that's the next question.
Okay.
So
thank you.
Okay, so I think we are done with the input part, and we can now, I think, move on to strings. Okay, so how does indexing work in strings, right? So let's start with some very basic strings, right? So Python uses, as you would have by now noticed, it uses what is called zero indexing, right? Or zero based indexing, however you want to call it. So it starts from 0 and goes all the way up to the length of the string -1, right? So here the length is 6. So anything up to 5 is fine, right? We could print the whole thing and then see what we get. Okay, and just copy it to save time, or I could take a shorter string just to, that is for demonstration purpose. Okay, so this is how indexing works. X of 0 is the first character, X of 1 is the second character, right? And X of 2 is the third character. All right, and the length of the string you will get from this function called len. Okay, so this is basic indexing. Any questions here?
Sir, in this indexing, what you taught us, it will always start from 0 in this Python. And suppose I want to print suppose I want to print BC, two strings together. So how can I do that? B commas BC.
Okay, we'll come to that. That's in slicing. That's the next discussion point.
Okay.
So any questions in indexing?
Sir, if ABC is a number, then
if ABC is a number,
let's say 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So X of 0 will be 1.
Yeah, X of 0 will be 1.
Okay, but it will consider this as a string only, not as an integer.
Yes, it will consider it as a string, not an integer.
Okay.
No,
so, sir, if there is an integer, then we have to convert it to a string to get the length, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
No, my question is, if we remove the inverted, like one before 1, there is an inverted comma. So if we only pass 1, 2, 3, 4 as an integer, then what will happen in this case?
Then this won't work, right? So it is no longer a string. So this will only work for string. So the error message is very suggestive. So you have to look at that. It says type error, which means you're trying to do something with one type. You're trying to do some operation with a type. Here you're trying to do something with an integer, which is not allowed, right? Which is not permitted. So what the exact error message is saying is int object is not subscriptable. That is, you cannot do all this. Basically, it's saying int object is not indexable. I mean, if there is a word like that, so you cannot index it.
Okay.
Right? You can't say x0, x1, x2.
Next integer.
That means, sir, to get this is a valid code, then instead of x equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, we have to pass this 1, 2, 3, 4 through a list. Then it is acceptable.
I wouldn't go to list now because like we haven't introduced it. So,
but you have written here x of this third bracket means it is a or means the data type is list.
Not necessary, right? So there is, see, in Python there is this indexing is common for different types, right? So there are lists, tuples, and all these things, which we'll discuss in weeks 3, weeks 4, 5, 6, right? For now, for week 1, right? I would just say that strings support indexing. Lists also support indexing, but let's leave lists to week 4, right? Week 4 is when you will see lists.
Okay, sir.
So for now, just to not burden your mind too much, I would suggest all of you to just focus on strings, right? You know the following data types, following types, right? Integer, float, string, boolean. So if you're familiar with these 4, it's like pretty good, I would say, right? And of these 4 types, only this string supports indexing, and that indexing is also zero based indexing, meaning it starts from 0. So 0 1 2 3 4, sorry, 0 1 2 3 up till the length of the string minus 1.
Sir, I have a doubt regarding this. Can I ask?
Yeah.
So when we're indexing the string, we can also say print x of, and if we write false, that is the same as print x of 0. So that's also permitted, right?
Yeah. So right. So I that's valid point. This is, but I would say this is like kind of slightly esoteric concept, not hardcore, not something that is advisable. So see,
what is this? False.
Yeah. See, for example, I can do true. X of true will be 2, and x of false will be 1. But I would yeah, your observation is valid. But I would strongly suggest that you don't use this.
No, sir. Actually, as many are new to this, so we are just beginners in this language. So we are taking the videos and we are watching it. So we are following the sir for sir only, which he is teaching us in this video. So I hope you understand.
Sorry,
Hello.
Can you, like, what's the issue? Like, can you repeat?
No. I was saying that, sir, as some of us are new to this course, so I was only watching those videos and I was trying to copy what sir was telling in those videos. So I don't have any extra knowledge of this. So as it is my beginning course, so what you said just now, that x of false, I couldn't get.
No, that's what I'm saying, right? It's okay. See, x of false is a good observation, but see, what happens is false Python treats it as 0, and true it treats it as 1.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Okay, and no, it's so we didn't include it as a part of the lecture because
because it was not in the lecture. That's why.
Yeah, it is not mainstream. So I wouldn't say it's not very important to know this, but it's, if you know this, there is nothing wrong in
yes, sir.
knowing it. Yeah.
No.
But sir, we can use this as an alternative for an if-else statement, right? Because 0 is true and the 1 is false.
Yeah, but if else you wouldn't need it, right, in week 1. If else we'll come to that in week 2. Is there any specific reason you want to use if else statements?
No, sir. I use this as this concept as an alternative to an if-else statement. So I just wanted to verify that that's the right logic.
Okay. See, there are two things, right?
So,
one is it a right? Will it work? And the second thing is it advisable, right? So I would suggest that it is best not to use this facility provided by Python. If you are a beginner, I mean, if you're already familiar with Python, then you can go ahead and do it. But if you're starting out, I would suggest that it's best to separate true, false, Boolean values from this particular feature.
That's what I was saying, trying to say.
Yeah.
I think we should concentrate on the what we taught in the first lesson.
Yes, first week. That's why.
Okay, but yeah. So again, I qualify my statement. It's if you already know it, it's fine. If you don't, then I would say stick to these things, right? The basics.
Yes, sir.
Sir, type of x of 0, that's again a string, right?
Yeah, that's again a string. So
Yep.
One second, I just how does string indexing work? So the basic point you need to notice, it's zero-based indexing, right? Meaning it starts from 0 and goes up to length of string -1. Okay, so that's important. And if you exceed the index, it will throw what is called index error. Okay, so again, these errors are important. Let's just go back and see what the index error is. I think this also prof covered, so I'm not covering anything extra. So what should I enter, or what can I enter so that I get an index error? Any answers?
X of 4.
If it is go beyond the length.
X of 4.
Okay, let's try X of 4. Right, so anything
X of -5, I can say that.
yeah, right. So we'll just also not introduce, let's also add that as a point. Python supports what is called negative indexing. Okay, so Python supports negative indexing, right? So let me frame a question here on the spot. Let's try to answer that. So so I have a string variable, right? Or I just accept an input, and I say that the following statement evaluates to true. Okay, so the following statement, when I execute this code, I get true as the output. Okay, so can you tell me? Okay, so I'll also have this X of. Okay, I'll make it slightly complicated. I mean, not too complicated, but y equal to, not y, sorry, something else, z, okay, z equal to x of y. So, right, so this is the question. When I run this piece of code, I get the output as true. All right. So how many inputs does this program accept?
How many inputs as in?
How many times what, like if I run this in the console, I'll have to enter inputs, right? So how many inputs does it accept?
Two.
Okay, so yeah, so I enter 2 inputs. Now it runs without throwing any error. So how many possibilities are there for the second input? So assume the first input is something, but how many possible values can I give for the second input if it has to run without any error? So this, I also give you the data. This program runs without any error. It outputs true. So these are the 2 data points that you have. Now the question is, how many possible values are there for the second input? So any answers?
It will be the
0 to 9, I think.
no. It will be the same as the length of x.
Yes. It will be the same as the length of.
It should be 0 to 9.
0 to 9, yes.
It can also be from -1 to -10.
Okay, so -1 to -10 looks okay. Then is it 0 to 9 or -1 to -10 or something else?
Both
-10 to 9.
একটা মিটিং আছে তোকে একটু পরে ফোন করছি।
Okay, so it is -10 to 9, as someone pointed out very correctly.
Yes.
So it will be -10 less than or equal to y less than or equal to 9. Right? So that is how many values? 10 plus 10, right? 20 values.
Sir, didn't get your code. Sorry, sir, couldn't understand.
Okay, which part? So see, this is an exercise that you have to develop both during the session and during when you ask questions on the forum. You should tell me what aspect of the question you didn't understand, but because I'm sure some aspect of it you would have understood. So it will help me also understand what you haven't understood.
No, sir. What you were talking about, that input, that second input, how many possible values, and what you have written here, the piece of code, line 4.
How many?
No, you were saying for the second input, how many possible ways are there to do this? And what you wrote in the fourth line, I couldn't get it.
Okay. So this program runs without any error.
No, sir. But you said that print length of x equals to equal to 10, but you haven't given any input. I mean, you haven't given any string.
No, I have given you the output. So I have given you that this program runs without any error. That is point number 1 of the data. Folks, please mute yourself. Otherwise, I'll have to mute.
याद ही नहीं भाई, मैं क्या 24 घंटे किचन में थोड़ा बैठा रहता हूँ.
I am muting all of you. You can unmute as and when required. Okay, so point 2 of the question is the data is that it outputs true.
Okay.
So if it outputs true, what can you say about the length of the first input?
I think length will be equal to 10.
It has to be 10, right? So
It has to be 10.
If the output is true, the length will be 10. Okay.
So
and for this, it will
Line
not
4,
throw
what is
any error. It will it always will not be sorry. It will not throw error always.
Yeah. So the only way for it to not throw an error is if you try to access an index, if you try to access that portion of the string, which will not throw in an index error, right? The only way you can get an error is index error, right? After line 3, there is only one line, which is line 4.
line 4. This is, I'm unable to get this.
So when will this throw an error?
If
It will when it will go out of
the range.
length. Sorry, out of the
range.
range.
So
Yeah.
error when you go out of range. So when will you go out of range is the next question of ask.
So we will go till n-1.
Yeah, so you'll go till 9, or you could go till -10. If you go beyond -10 or outside 9, this is like your if you want to use math notation, it's -10, 9, that interval.
Why -10, sir?
Because we have said that Python supports negative index, right?
Negative, yes.
So negative index, what it will do?
Okay, no. Now we are getting into. Have you watched the lectures?
I watched the lectures, but I understand from that by using the negative index, we will go in the reverse direction.
Exactly.
Suppose I write Python. If I go with -4, then it will be showing NT. I mean, in the reverse order, it will be showing.
Okay, so now I would like you to think about this. We have spent like quite some time, so I would like you to think about this.
-10 to 9. Okay.
Right. So I am moving on. I'll also add this problem there in the markdown. So where were we? We were in D3. I would just say add it as this is too big, right?
Yes.
Okay.
In another way, you can think that 0 to 9 length is same as 1 to 10. Means 0 to 9 total length is 10, 1 to 10 total length is 10. So in that way, we can think that
Exactly.
10 to 9 is valid.
Okay, -10. Oh, as in
yeah,
the length portion you are telling.
Yeah.
I mean,
you said that na reverse order is working.
reverse.
So,
Yeah.
So that's why -10 to
-10.
-1 is total length 10, and 0 to 9 total length is 10. So that's why here -10 to 9 is valid.
Okay. Now I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the question. Now we are any questions in indexing. Indexing I think is clear now. Anything
Sir,
else?
in this question, like what we are inputting on X and Y is converting into integer. So can this integer, can we do indexing for this also or not?
No, indexing, you can't index an integer. So that's
Okay.
we saw
Okay,
that.
sir. Right.
An integer is not.
Okay, maybe I'll add that also.
Sir?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, yes.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Sir, here I didn't get it in the sum which you gave now. Can you show that again?
Okay,
One
so
doubt I have.
okay. Yeah.
Sir, here actually we are taking a input. I mean, sir, a character, a string of 10 numbers.
No. We are just taking some input. It may be a number, or it could be a 10-letter word. It could be anything.
It could be anything. So when it has a length of 10, so let us assume that it is a 10-digit number.
Okay.
So when we take for y, when we convert it to integer,
Yes.
here we are converting it to integer, no sir.
Yeah. Why we are storing an integer in y? Yeah.
So when we store it as an integer, I mean it becomes a 10-digit number, no sir?
No. See, you are accepting two inputs.
Two inputs.
Two different inputs.
Ah, okay. This is different input. Okay, I thought it is X. Okay. I understood.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
another one doubt.
Yeah.
Sir, in the previous one, you have asked that whether we have an if-else question in our week 1 discussion.
Yeah.
Actually, when I did the GRPA ones, in the GRPA 6th one, programming assignment, I think it is related to if-else condition. Means I
No.
tried, but I didn't get it.
No. Yeah. So this, I think we have answered on the forum also. It can be solved without resorting to conditional statements. In fact, you can solve it using basic logic, and I don't want to give any more hints there because it's like a very simple piece of code. Code wise, it's very simple. Logically, it might be a bit tough, but that's why it's the last problem in the week.
Sir, if I am not getting it, if possible in tomorrow or in the Tuesday one, can you explain it if I don't get it till then?
See, there is not. I can't see. You understood the problem statement, right? So problem statement should be quite clear. More than this, we can't. See, if you do anything extra, it will be giving you the answer.
Okay, sir. At least after this, will we get the solutions?
Yeah. So solution will be released right after the deadline. I mean, we won't release it. It'll appear in the portal itself.
Okay, sir.
Okay, right. So going back to D4,
Thank
how
you.
does slicing work? So yeah, slicing could be slightly more, I won't say complicated, but there are many more dimensions to slicing than in just indexing.
Yes.
Right. So if you want to extract, say, the first three, I don't want to use numbers because. Okay, so first three letters. Right? So what you do is you just do start and yes is
Sorry
yeah.
to interrupt you. Actually, I have a doubt.
Without space also it works, right?
Yeah. So once again, what is the anything related to slicing or the previous problem? What is your
The
doubt?
before previous problem, sir, in the
Okay.
X input, the input problem, sir. Sir, in this, we give two input that I understood, but what I didn't understand is that is it necessary to give a input which has a length 10? I mean, we cannot give an input whose length is less than 10, right?
we have to give an input which has length 10, right? Otherwise, this statement will be false.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. So moving back, yeah, this space is not required. So this is part of convention. I mean, I follow this convention, but it's not necessary that you need to have the space. It's more easy on my eyes. Right. So what this will do is this will give you the first three letters. Right. Let's just run it and see. Okay, so that's the first three letters, and the main thing that you'll have to remember, which will become like second nature to you, is that when you say x of start is to end, you go from start x of start to x of end minus 1, right? That's the, if you know this, then you can solve any string slicing problem. Okay, is that any questions here? This is like this is the only thing that you need to know. The rest of it is mere details which you can pick up along with
As
it.
you have written 0 to 3, so we will always take n minus 1.
We'll always take n minus 1, yeah.
Okay.
So this is like, if you are again, I'll go back to math, since you have all done math 1. This is like open interval, closed interval.
Yes, sir. That is open and closed.
Right? Or rather, sorry, the closed to open, right? Maybe I meant it's closed. Closed is the square bracket, right?
And open.
Yeah, close to open.
So it's a closed open interval. Or if that is confusing, if you are not a math person, then
yes, sir.
Closed is for square brackets and open is parentheses.
Yeah, so first index is always included, the second index is always excluded. One less than the second index is what is included.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so any questions here that anyone has?
No, sir.
Okay, so now we'll go to slightly more involved things, which is that what happens if we delete the first index? So any guesses what will happen?
Still get the same output.
Okay, so you'll get the same output. So if you miss or if you don't enter the first index, it is the same as 0 is to 3, or it is the same
If
as,
you don't write 0, then also it will be printed same.
yeah, it is the same as this. All right, and likewise.
Sir, what will happen if we take instead of 0 if we take -5, what will happen?
I'll come to that. So I'll come to negative indices in slicing after this. So, okay, for last three, what should I do in terms of positive indices? What two values should I add here to get the last three letters?
5 to.
Okay, 5 to.
Last three, you can also start with -3 and then up to minus, or you can leave it. The end portion you can leave it as blank.
Yeah.
So 5 to 9.
Yeah, I'll come
You
to
can keep it blank.
negative indices later, but first I want to just try this out. Okay, one step at a time. So this is right, no? So this is how, what is the length of this A, B, C, D, F?
Sorry, sir. Can you explain what you said previously? Actually, I lost connection. Sorry, sir.
Yeah, so this is ABC. What is the length of X? Length of X is 8, right? So
8.
okay, so
It would be 7, I think.
so it need not be 9, right? It could also be 8.
We can also
Yes,
write
sir.
x len -3 2 and then up to len.
Right?
That is,
Yeah, you could also do that, but there is an interesting thing in putting this as 9. So why So it's important to note this also, that you can actually have anything greater than or equal to the length of x minus 1. See, length of x is 8, right? So you could have anything starting from 8 onwards, right? In 8 upwards, you could have anything. So you could even have, for example, 1000, and it will work, right? So this is a very curious feature about string slicing.
How, sir? How 1000 works, sir?
So this is the way the string slicing works. So it's going to look from the index file till the index 1000, and if the index 1000 doesn't happen to be there, then it will just stop at whatever is the length of the string.
Oh, I see. So
Okay.
if we write any impossible value, then if we don't have that string, don't have that character, it will stop to last string.
Yeah. So,
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, in the lecture when we were doing slicing, so we used to skip one variable. I mean, whatever this is, like we from the last. So if it's from 0 to 3, it would go to A, B, but it won't take C in the lecture. So how is it working right now?
Okay, sorry, I didn't get your question. Like, yes, it will skip as in what do you mean?
Sir, in the lecture, when we defined the range from 0 to 3, like first 3, right? And then in the last 3, you're defining from 5 to 9, let's suppose.
Yeah.
Then it would only take a value one previous, just
n minus 1.
right. It won't take the last value if defined. Like if it's written 5 to 8, it will only take 5, 6, and 7, and not 8.
Yeah, right. So that is what I mentioned like earlier, right? So if you say, so string, the way string indexing works is, it'll always start from, if you do string of start is to end, it'll go from start up to end minus 1. So that's the way it is defined, designed, right? It will go till end minus 1. It will not touch the index end. So if you put in, let's say, 5 to 6, then it's actually 5, the character at index 5, that's it, right? So
That's it. It won't include 6.
All right, sir.
Okay, so this is the way it works.
All right.
ABC is because ABC is 0, 1, 2, not 3, not 1, 2, 3.
0, 1, 2.
Counting
We are
starts
starting
with
from
0.
0.
Right.
So why does that happen though? I mean, is there a reason?
Okay, that's a good question, but for that we have to again go digging into the way the language has been implemented, right? So we'll have to lift the hood and see why the language was written that way. There should be a good answer on Stack Overflow. If I am able to find it, I'll maybe post it on the.
We have to go to the history of this
I think
language.
the professor said that we will have this discussion in the later weeks. So why the counting in computing starts with 0. I think it was told somewhere in lecture of 1 week. I don't remember exactly. But I think it's going to come back. Or maybe Karthik, if you find something, then you can post it on
Yes,
the discussion forum. Then we will go through that.
Sure, yeah, I'll do that, right? So both for 0 indexing and why it stops one short of
the last,
right? So in the last index.
What I think is maybe it's because of the binary system, zeros and ones.
0 and 1.
Because 0 is a defined thing in computing, but it's not defined in well defined in mathematics. So that's why 0 is considered in computing. That's what my logic is, but I'm not too sure how correct is that.
Right. So I am also not like rightly positioned to comment on this. So I'll also search and get back to you on this, right, on the forum.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So these two things we need to know. If you leave the starting index, then it's going to default to 0. Likewise, if you leave the end index, the second index, it's going to default to the length of the string minus 1 or the last index, right? So that is slicing with positive indices.
Positive.
So negative indices is also quite similar, but you start with, let's say, -3. So -1 is H, -2 is G, and
-3 is F.
-3 is F. So you start with -3 and then you go on, right? I mean, you don't need to specify the last index, or if you are very particular, you can specify this as 8. No, not 8, right? So so yeah, 8.
-3 to 8.
So -3 to 8. I just delete this. This should work, right? So or you could just leave it, which is again the same thing. Okay, so now what happens if we say do just this? Any idea what will happen? And I print y. What am I?
All the string.
Yeah, so it will print the whole thing, right? So, and again, this here the logic is quite clear, right? If you leave out both the start and end, it's going to default to 0 is to length of x, right? So just one correction, I have been telling length of x minus 1 all along. It's actually not length of x minus 1, it's length of x. Okay, so length of x minus 1, if I add, what will I get? Any answers?
Last letter will be skipped.
Exactly, right? So last letter will be skipped because it will go from 0 to 7. 0 to 7, but 7 will be excluded. So it will be 0 to 6. Okay, no, not 0 to 6. Okay, so this can be a bit confusing. So one second, what is length of x?
Length of x is 8, so 0 to 7.
8.
Sorry, 0 to
7.
Okay, so 0 to 7. Yeah, 0 to 6, which means you will print
F.
0 to 6, right?
Yes, because the index of the last letter is 7. So start from 0.
0 to 7.
Yeah. Wait. See, this is okay. I'm getting a confused.
So that length of x is 8, and if 8 minus 1 is 7, and 7 would not be included, so that would go from 0 to 6, right?
Yeah, so you'll print from 0 to 6. So A, B, C.
The output would be 0 to 6.
D, F, G. Right? So yeah, so it will be the first 7 characters, but the first 7 characters are like 0 to 6 as far as indices are concerned.
How it will be 0 to 6, sir? H is remaining.
No, like this is 0 to 6, right? So A is ABC 0, 1, 2. D, F is 3,
4, 5.
4, 5, and G is 6.
6.
So it will go till G. H will be left out.
Achha, H will be left out. Okay.
Okay, so the 0 indexing, if you are not used to it, can be a pain, but you'll have to.
Yeah, this is a little bit tricky to understand. The 0 indexing.
Right. So I won't say it's a matter of getting used to it. That's all, right? So it is,
yes,
you
sir.
understand it already, but it's like we are not used to counting from 0, and that's the whole problem.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
I have one doubt. So negative indexes always start at with 1 actually, right?
Negative, yeah, they always start with -1. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Thank you.
So it will start from last.
Yeah, so that is negative indexing. There's one more thing I wanted to discuss about indexing, which is that yeah.
I have erased it actually. Yeah, I had a doubt. So, so if we want to if we want to index by using that negative index concept, so in the end part, can we just write -1? I mean, from -3 going to -1. In that way, can we put it?
-3. Sorry, I didn't get.
Suppose if we want to print FGH, okay. So can we index it -3 and to -1?
Okay.
I mean, colon and Yes, in this way, would it print from FGH? Would it print it?
Can you tell me what will happen?
That's what I'm asking, sir. Actually, in this, like this -1, can we? Sir, actually, I want to print FGH. Okay, by using this minus indexing. So
Okay.
this in this start, we have put -3 because negative index starts from -1 and -2 and -3. That
Right.
I understood. And in the end part, can we just put -1 so that it will mean H? That's what I'm asking.
Okay. See, what will happen if you put -1 is that you are asking this slice to start at -3, which is F.
Yes.
But you are asking it to end before -1, right? So you are asking it to end before H. So you'll end up printing only FG. So if you try it out.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So there is one diagram. So in the online textbook, if you notice, there is one diagram that is given for your reference. Until you get used to it, you can actually refer that particular diagram for slicing. One second, I don't know where that image is. Saw this.
So could you discuss this backslash concept?
Backslash, we will come to that. I think there's it's going to be discussed in detail in the next week. Right, so see, this indexing is quite clear. Slicing is where we need some more. Okay, so there is this image. I would request you all to go back and look at this. This will give you some clarity, right? So for example, if you want, when you say this is slice position, right? So when you say -3 is to -1, it is going to do RL, right? So you and not RLD. So this image, I'll just probably get a link to this image.
Can we copy that?
Yeah, and I'll paste that.
So, sir, there is no procedure to just by using this minus indexing in the end to print all the last three of that string, right?
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, you could use the. I'll probably do this.
Sir, I had one query, like are the private test cases similar to the public ones?
Yeah, this I also.
Private test cases similar to public ones. Yeah. By similar, what do you mean? I mean, like along the same lines, right? That's what you want to know.
I mean, so what is written in the public test cases when we try to run a code in a portal, and it says when we are successful, it says 5 out of 5 private test cases successfully passed. So
Yeah.
is that different from the public test case, which is written there in that input and output and actual output which we get?
Yeah, I'll come to that. So that is point number 6. How does the interface work?
Okay.
Okay, so we'll finish this.
Sure.
We'll finish D6. How does no D5? What does string concatenation mean? So string concatenation is just putting two strings together, right? So ABC you have an Y is D F, then Z is X plus Y. We'll just put these two together.
Yes.
Okay, so that is all with concatenating two strings. So any questions that anyone has in string concatenation?
Also, if we convert a string into an integer, then we can then this operation will change. Suppose if I have x equals to 1 2 3 4 and y equals to 4 5 6, then if I convert it into integer, then it will add, no?
Yeah. Right. So anyone else, any questions?
So not concatenation, but an indexing previous one. Can I
Okay.
ask?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Likewise, you said we want to print the last three letters F, G, H.
Okay.
So can the indexing be from 5 to 8? Like 5 to 9 you printed, I mean, you showed us that it works. What about 5 to 8?
That will also work. So anything which is greater than or equal to the length of string will work. So I'll take a general case so that say I don't even know how long this is. So if you want to print NOP or if you want to store NOP in this, then all you have to do is start from -3, that is the third character from the end.
Yes.
And you could either leave it blank, which is the safest thing to do. Right? That is, let's say y1, or you could do start from the third character and go all the way up to the length of x. Right? Both are correct, because when you say length of x, you are going to stop with length of x -1, which is the last character. So if you execute this and see what y1 and y2 are, you will see that they are both the same.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So now if that is done, then I think concatenation also is done. If none of you have any questions.
Sir, if we compare two strings,
Can you please
and
re-explain the D3 problem of the fourth line?
Okay, we'll come back to that in the end. Okay, so because we have, I think, spent some time there, so I would like to finish the remaining points and then get back to that. So,
sir. Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, in this you said concatenation. If we try to compare two strings, what will be the result of that, sir? Like if I want to compare two names, so it will pass a Boolean variable or it will do some more operation.
So it will compare it in a lexico. So it will compare it letter by letter, character by character. That's how it
Character
works.
back. Okay. So if suppose I want to compare two names, let's say Sachin and Saurav. So it will compare it. Let's say if Sachin is less than Saurav, then it will compare letter by letter. Like it will compare first S, then I mean character by character.
Yeah, it will compare character by character.
Okay. And if A comes before O, then it will return true. I mean, if the character in the first string is coming before the character in the second string, then it will return true or false, whatever may be the
No,
case.
see, I would say don't you may not complicate it this much, right? So it's like your dictionary. It's like if it
Okay.
comes before the dictionary, then yeah, that's how it works.
Achha, in dictionary, like how it works. Okay, sir.
Okay, so I'll now move on to the sixth point, which is how does the interface work? I am sure you would have understood what the whole thing is by now.
Yes.
But just in case some of you are still confused, then okay, so we have so we have public test cases and we have private test cases, but even before that, there is this important point you need to understand about how your test cases are going to be evaluated. So let's say, so this is the answer, right? I mean, this is not, it's a very trivial problem. So I'm just going to go ahead and test run this. So if you notice, this is the expected output and this is the actual output.
Yes.
Right? and it should be an exact match. So what I mean by that is, let's say I do something like this, right? Print 1 comma space. So I'm just adding a space here, and I'm going to click on the test run button. Notice that roughly you are getting the same thing. You are getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the 5 lines, but there are these 2 spaces here,
Extra
right?
spaces there.
And that is not going to go down well with your auto grade, right? So we don't evaluate any of this. Just to give you an idea, we are not involved in any of these evaluations. All this happens automatically, and a single space can also cost you a test case, right? So please be sure about what you see here, and we have observed this in the last term. What students used to do is they'll print something and then there'll be one extra space here, because of which the output will be not matching with the expected output. So try to avoid that. Any specific doubts about the interface, how it works, anything you don't understand?
Is there any error in actual output? This oblique n slash n.
Sorry?
This actual output is showing 2 oblique n, I mean slash n.
So the slash n is a presentation issue, and you can ignore that. So that's why we have added that the slash n that comes at the end can be ignored. So anything else? Any other questions? Anyone? Any others?
Sir, sir, I have a question. So let's say we have 2 test cases. So how to do that? It's test case 1, test case 2. Then how to submit that?
Okay. So you have to accept the input. See this, when you have multiple test cases, your input will keep varying, right? So I don't want to solve this now because tomorrow you'll be doing this. So I don't want to spoil tomorrow's session, but generally when you have a question which says accept a number as input and print that number itself, then this is how the solution will look like, right? So when you test run this, here I won't get anything. Here I will just it will just be a blank. But whatever is the configured input here, that will go and sit inside X, and you will end up printing that value.
Okay.
So if you have different test cases, then you have to accept, means you have to accept input. So I won't solve this, but so this is what you have to do here, right? So the problem statement says you have to accept an integer, you have to accept an integer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So any other questions regarding
Sir, if on all test runs, when it says ki all cases passed, that means it's all cleared, no?
Yeah, that means you are. So it should say, so you have to submit the code, right? So unless you submit it, it's not going to get saved. And over the top, so if I go to GRPA1, I hope I don't have the solution code here. Okay. See, it would say something like this. So it should say 5 out of 5 test cases passed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, unless this is, see, the public test cases don't mean anything, okay? I mean, I won't say it doesn't, they don't mean anything. They guide you to solve the problem, but for the evaluation, private test cases are the ones which matter.
Okay.
Sir, is it possible that my code passes all the public cases but fails a few private cases?
Yeah, that is very much possible.
Okay, public cases are it is there to guide us if our code is correct or not, right?
Yeah, so public test case, see, the idea of the philosophy behind having 2 types of test cases is this is this has come from all these programming competitions, right? So that if you go and look at these contests, the online programming contests, you always have these public and private test cases, but there is a like legitimate reason for this, and that is when you go out in the industry, right? So some of you are maybe already developers who are working in some software firm, what will happen is your problem statement will not come like this, right? So here you are learning Python, so it's so well defined, right? We are giving you something to test your code, right? In the industry it won't be like this. It will be like customer will come and ask you, give me a website that does following things, right? I want, if I click this button, this particular thing should happen, right? So if let's say you work for Amazon, backend developer, you're an Amazon backend developer, right? And some consumer wants you to add one feature, say one extra button he wants to add somewhere, so that it becomes easy to perform some function. The customer will not say, I will test the product for you and I will give you all the errors, or I will give you the test cases. That's not how it works, right? Customer will only give you requirement, do this for me, and then he will drop off, right? Why does he care how you test your code? So treat this private test cases like that, right? So you need to anticipate what the customer's needs are, right? So you don't know what's coming, so you can't see this, you can't actually interact with the customer on a real time basis, right? The delivery will be on there'll be some deadline for you to deliver the software product, and after that only the customer will start testing. So before you deliver, you should do your own tests. Okay, so this private test case is meant to help you design your own test cases. That's the only way you're going to clear all these programming assignments. Week one has been, I would say, extremely easy to warm. It's meant as a warm up, but in later weeks what will happen is you will invariably miss 2 or 3 private test cases because you wouldn't have anticipated that, right? So your code will be, it doesn't mean you are a bad programmer, right? Most of you are just starting out, so your logic will not be foolproof. That's what I'm saying. And slowly, the moment you see that 3 out of 5 test cases passed, that is like an incentive for you to go back to your code and refine it or make it better. So that's the whole idea of private test cases, apart from the fact that you need to be graded and it contributes to grading and all that, but the main reason is to help you become a better programmer. That's the whole idea.
Yes, sir. Sir, if all our private test cases are passed, that means we have done it successfully, the whole code.
Yes, right. So at least whatever we have in mind, see, ultimately, right, test case, this is only verification, right? So
okay,
so there are 2 things, right? One is your program is totally foolproof only when you can prove that it is foolproof, right? No matter how many test cases you give it, I might pass all test cases, and then there might be one corner test case which I have never tried out, and my program might fail there, right? So when you go out of this course, right, you must understand that test case is only an act of verification and not actually proving. So proving that your program is correct and all these things we'll study in the next course. So the course on algorithms, right? So that is when we'll take it up to the next level and study aspects of program correctness. How do we know that a particular algorithm is correct? So this course is more on the lines of learning to program in Python.
yes.
Okay, so yeah, so that is D7. Okay, any questions on this particular thing?
So suppose if there are 2 public test cases, and if I write a single code, it will run in both. As we saw in the PPA, if I write a single code for what is the problem, it will run for both the test cases, right?
Yeah, provided you write the correct code, like accepting input.
Yeah, if my code is correct and if the input which is given in the test case is true, so by single code only, my both the test cases will pass. I mean, it will evaluate both the test cases.
Yeah.
I don't have to write a separate code for a second test case or like that.
No.
Hmm.
Yeah. So others, anyone else who has any questions?
Sir, for evaluation, like you were saying, suppose we have cleared 3 out of 5 test cases pass.
Yeah.
So it will be evaluated on the basis of 3, or then the whole code will get wrong.
No. So it is proportional to the number of test cases
How many we
that
pass?
are passed, right? So the score you get is, so if you answer, if you get 3 out of 5, it will be 3 by 5 into 100 for that particular programming assignment.
Oh.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Okay.
Okay. So others, any questions regarding the portal interface?
Sir, in the for the week 2 content, I don't seem to be able to find any of the programming assessment.
Yeah. So for week 2, what has happened is we are fixing one presentation issue in the programming assignment interface. So the questions are ready, but we will be releasing it, say, in 1 or 2 days time.
Okay.
Karthik, also for week 1 and week 2, we do not see the presentation slides, lecture slides.
There aren't any actually. So for week 1, in this course, right, generally both professor and Professor Sudarshan and Omkar, what they have done is they have only used the terminal or the Replit and then coded. Right. So slides will.
Lecture slides are not available.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So any questions regarding the portal?
Sir, in the download all section, if I download, it only downloads the public cases. Is there any option to download the private cases as well?
No, right. So as I mentioned, the private test cases are meant to be hidden, so you won't have access to that.
Okay. So, okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So there's just one. If you're all done, then there's this particular tab that I would like all of you to look at.
Yes.
Yes. So this is clear enough. Start by watching all lectures, right? And for each lecture, code along with the professor. I think he also mentions it. Now the second point is very important, because some of you might have the tendency to directly jump to the graded assignments. I request you not to do that, right? In your own interest, not because I want you to go through all the content that we have put out, but if you all just directly jump to the graded assignment, right, either programming or theory, you will be lost, right? So we have designed this time, right? We have designed the assignments in such a way that if you do them in a sequential manner, starting from PPA 1 all the way up to PPA n, right? And then you start GRPA 1 and go to GRPA n, right? You will see that you will be able to solve most of the problems, right? And if not all. If you're going to directly start GRPA 1 and you'll I am guessing that you'll be lost, right? Because the whole idea of practice programming assignments, the PPAs, is to act as some kind of a warm up, right? It will give you all the ideas you need to start doing the graded assignment. So please follow this order. This is not an arbitrary order. We are not just randomly saying that you should do the practice assignments. They'll really help you, right? If you're going to directly do graded assignment, you will be lost. That is something that I want to record right away.
So I have a doubt in this assignments, graded assignments.
Yeah.
Is it based on the concepts of week 1 only? Because one of the assignments, I think, it seems easier to use a conditional out there. But do we need to use the week 1 concepts only and then solve that?
It's not binding on you. If you are already familiar with the language, you can go ahead and use concepts beyond week 1. But I would strongly suggest that you try to stick to week 1 concepts.
Okay, sir. Okay, right.
Right, and it's solvable using week 1 is what I would like to say.
Right.
right? So the other thing I wanted to mention is regarding the theory assignments. See, there will be a theory exam and a programming exam, right?
Yes, sir.
So for theory,
Sir, is there only one quiz for Python, sir?
No, so we'll have like 2 quizzes, 3 programming exams, like 5 exams you'll have in total.
One quiz, one end-term exam, and 3 online proctored exams.
Yeah. So yeah, so getting back, see this, when you have a question like this in your theory assignment, the shortcut is to just go ahead, execute each piece of code, and then tick whichever gives you the correct output, right? I'm sure most of you would have figured that out by now. But please don't do that as the first attempt, right? Don't do that when you start trying to solve this problem, right? So first thing you must do is try to execute this in your head, right? And figure out the answer without going to the terminal or the console or whatever. You can use the Python console only as a verification tool, right? Just to see that you get the right answer. Why I am saying this is, when you actually sit in the TCS center and look at the questions, you will not have access to a terminal. Okay,
Yes.
I repeat this. At the TCS center, you will not have access to the terminal, right? So there is no way you can execute any of these things and find out the answer. So if you're going to get used to this habit of just blindly copying and pasting things and selecting the answers, then you will find it very hard during the exams.
Okay.
All right, so that is the second point I wanted to make. Yeah, so that is all I had to say. Anything else, anyone? Any general questions anyone
So
has, you
there
can
will be
ask.
only one quiz for Python, one in-person quiz.
No, we'll have 2. So one is the quiz and then the other one is the answer.
Okay, we won't have quiz 2 and 3 for Python.
No.
Okay.
So can you please re-explain the D3 question of fourth line?
Okay, this one, right? D3 fourth line.
Yes,
yeah. So what is it?
Yes, sir. What does it do, fourth line? Why we added this?
You tell me, no? Like what, from whatever code you see, what do you think it's doing?
Sir, it taking the input of the y and it's doing the slicing work in x. I didn't get why we do the slicing on x.
We are not slicing, right? We slicing here.
Sir, are these 2 different input, x and y?
What do you think?
Yes, sir, these are 2 different. Because in first it is taking a string as input, and in the second you are taking the input as a string and converting it to integer.
Okay, yeah. So there you have the answer. So so I don't get it. So what is the issue with the fourth line? I'm not getting the question.
No, question is, sir, why you added this fourth line?
Yes, sir.
Equals to x, y.
I know you should see. You should tell me what do you understand by that. Then I'll give you the response. My response to it.
Sir, I didn't get it. Why we at the first step? Why we add the fourth line?
No. So you tell me what you understand by the fourth. Then I can respond to that.
I think, sir, it shows that the program gives an output without any error.
Sorry?
Sir, I think it gives an output of the program without any error. Generally, it shows this, I think, here.
It gives the
It gives
YS letter of the X input.
No, I think it won't give because we are not printing here anything, but
Yeah, so I think Ujjwal, right? So I think whatever he said is the correct answer, right? So it is giving you the yth character in the string X. That is what what the line is doing.
Sir, can you do this by an example? If we take any X, let's say any value, I mean any string, then
Karthik, may I explain that?
Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So say input for X is data, D8, not data, don't take data, main, MAIN, that's the string. And we give Y, we have to put an integer value, so we give 2. Right? So when we print the length of X, so it will come as value 0, 1, 2, 3. So that will be the third character. So this will give you the second character of X, that will be 0, 1, 2, I. That I will be the answer for Z.
But
sorry.
the output will be false then, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think what he meant was, yeah, I think, yeah, that's right. But
yeah, because we are printing the length of 10, it will say out of range, the text string out of range, or you'll get error because we have 10 here. So when we are printing this length, because the length is not equal to 10, it should be below 0, 1, 2, 3. It should be any number below 3. Then you will get true or false, depending on whatever is the input you're giving.
Let's say pin is the input, X equals to pin, and Y is the integer of, okay. So length of X is 3, and suppose I'm taking ZX of 1. So what it will show me? X of 1. X of 1 means the first input of the X letter, I mean X string. Let's say I. We are not printing, but we are assuming that it is storing it Z equals to I.
Not clear on that question. I did not understand that.
Yeah, so see, I would just request you to try this out. The best way is to just execute this for you. Try this yourself and see what happens. Right? That's the best way to understand this.
I just wanted to, because even I'm not so clear about this. Is it that we need to put an input which should be at least, I mean, equal to length 10. The length should be 10 so that it satisfies the second condition, output is true.
Yeah, you only if you give something which is of length 10, it will give true as output.
Yeah, so then we put another input, Y, and this last line, what you have said, Z is equal to, you've indexed with Y, this should not give any error. So that means this length has to be, I mean, the index has to be within that, 0 to 9, and in negative, which you have shown in splicing. So we can go into the negative also. It starts with
Exactly.
minus.
Yeah, that's all the problem is about. Nothing else.
Okay, understood.
Okay, right. So anyone else who's having an issue with this, you please go back and try the various things. See, the other thing about the course is maybe this we can conclude. See, this is different from Max 2 or Stats 2, Max 1 and Stats 1 in the sense that this is a skill. It's a very concrete skill, right? It's like playing football or basketball, or this is something that is equivalent to that, right? And the only way you're going to become better at it is by practicing, right? By coding almost regularly, right? And it's in a very strong way, right? It's much easier than Max 2, Stats 2, Max 1, Stats 1, all these courses, right? Because there's a very clear path. Okay, so and your interpreter, this console is your teacher, right? The professor, Omkar, myself, all the instructors, you can actually do without us, right? So I hope you understand what I'm saying by that. You don't need to wait for us to teach you anything. Okay, so you can just go ahead and go ahead and try like only the sky is the limit for what you can try. So for example, these are things that you should do once the session is over.
Yes,
You
sir.
should try the whole gamut of things that are possible with this, right? You should keep trying this input again and again until you reach the stage where you understand what's happening, and you should take it step by step. So if there are 4 lines and you are not able to understand the fourth line, then for a while ignore the fourth line, just focus on these 3. And if you think this is confusing you, just excise it away from this and then just use lines 1 and 3 and see what's happening, right? So this is a very concrete skill that you can learn. And week 1, whatever you do in week 1 is going to come with you all the way till the final week, right? And I'm not saying this lightly, but every minute that you spend in this course is going to be useful, right? And it's one such a course. It's very rare to see a course like this. I'm not talking about IIT Madras in general, right? So I'm just talking about any programming course. You do programming, you take this programming course from any institute, any university, wherever you go. This is the way the course is designed. Any course, if you look at it, you will have to write code, and the beauty of code is that it is incremental in nature, right? So strings will come in weeks 2 to week 12, right? And in week 2 you are going to study conditional statements. Conditional statements you will be using for the rest of your life.
Okay.
Same with loops, right? So these are it's a very very powerful skill, right? So trust me when I say this, the Python is all pervasive, right? So Python is currently one of the most powerful languages. And
Sir, after one question, sir. After completing this whole course, will we be able to, let's say, not we don't become expert, but we get a fair knowledge of what we can do in Python? I mean, after completing this whole course, whole 12 weeks, we can get a knowledge of what if someone tells us to do a program or any other problem, we can try to uh, solve that.
yeah,
And
but I will
yeah,
qualify
and
that.
also I would
Yeah.
like to add one thing here.
Yeah.
In stat 2, professor used many of the Python code to generate or calculate the stat like formula, mean, median, mode, or an hypothesis testing. There are many things professor used here there to calculate. So are we going to use this concept in this model for stat?
No. So I don't think that cross referencing will happen.
Okay.
So we won't be using those things, but over time you will find, if at all any code is used in stats 2, you will find it easier to understand that piece of code.
Okay.
But
So,
sir,
I can
further means what Sachin said, just taking the cue from there and just asking one more thing, because I already have completed the stats 2 in the last term.
Right.
After say certain week, means this is the 12-week course, say after 8 or 9 week, am I able to solve the stat problem which I am not able to solve in the last term because I don't know the Python that time? Am I able to solve some of the stat problem by taking those problem into the Python platform?
Yes,
Yeah.
that you should be able to do, right? So but I'll just give this so small kind of I'll qualify whatever I said earlier. See, this is when I say this is different from Max 2, Stats 2. I'm not just please don't understand it in the sense that they are bad courses or this is a good course. No. I'm not trying to say that. This is a different type of course, right? So programming courses are slightly different in the
Very
sense,
unique.
yeah, in the sense that it's very hands-on, right? It's like most of the time you're doing something very practical and hands-on. Now coming to your question, when you reach week 9 or when you finish this course,
Yes.
You'll have a reasonably good understanding of the language, such that most of the tasks that are given to you, you will be able to do it. A, or B, you will be able to figure out a way to do it based on your existing knowledge, right? So it could be, calculating, say, mean, median, mode from stats 2, or playing around with some distributions, uh, or sampling from randomly sampling a certain number of points from a distribution. All this you will be able to do at the end of the course, right? But what you should also understand is that for all this to happen, you will have to put in a lot of hours coding, right? There's no replacement for that.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Sir, as a beginner,
Excuse, sir, I have a doubt, which I had. Hello?
Yeah.
So,
Yes, yeah.
Sir, I had a query which I had written on the discourse forum regarding the submit button, which was not working on the get it assignment question number 6. Why I was using loops concept there.
Right. So did you send a mail to support?
Yes, I had sent that mail on the same day.
Okay. I'll talk to them and get it sorted.
So for a beginner, will this course get a bit tough in the later weeks?
Yes, sir.
So for a beginner, see the what you see in week 1 is like very easy. Okay, so but obviously there'll be layers of complexity added as we go along, right? So, but it won't be like tough. See, what is tough? Things will become tough if you don't practice. That's all. The only toughness is something that you induce on yourself by not practicing. I would put it that way. That's the only way it's going to become tough.
Okay, but as in if we are not understanding any concept or any idea, so that will be, that will be cleared in the sessions coming after. So that will be helpful. I mean to say that if we are stuck at any week, any topic of that lecture, we can get it solved by uh, course instructors or through live sessions.
Yeah, so the discourse is always there, it's always open. But again, I would see, I'll just give you my own example. I'm
Yes.
not very smart or intelligent, or I am also one among a lot of people who learn programming, and I didn't learn it through any course. Right? So how did I learn? I just learned it online. Okay, so not even by watching lectures, by just coding, right? It's the best way to learn programming. But what we are offering you here is a very systematic way of solving the whole thing, of learning programming. Okay, so there is that added advantage. So, but what I would really like you all to take away is that you must start exploring right away, right? So don't be limited by what we present to you in the assignments, or think that is the limit of what you can do in Python or programming.
Sir, apart from this course, we can also go for any other course if we wish to. For beginners, this course is fine. But if we want to explore any other course, something similar to this, we can go for that also. That will be helpful.
See, no. See, the point I'm trying to make is not to depend only on course. See, for Stack Overflow, for example, is a wonderful resource. So if I ask a question like how to slice a string in Python, okay. Now, if you notice, there should be one Stack Overflow question somewhere. How to slice a string. Okay, so this is so this look at this. This someone has asked this question, and they have given you the answer. So this is the kind of thing I'm saying. Like, don't limit yourself. Uh, uh, you
To the
know,
course.
and yeah. So not just to the course, but into a particular style of learning, right? So, and don't be over dependent on anyone is what I would say, right? So there is this idea that if you don't know how something works, then you cannot figure it out yourself. So I would say that the first thing that you must trust is yourself, right? You can figure it out, right? So it's like, uh, don't go looking out for answers, or I may be contradicting myself, but you must be able to figure it out yourself, or it's just a Stack Overflow search away, right? Or just that one question on the forum. So please come to the forum, ask these questions, but most of all explore, right? You have a terminal, you have a console, you can do unlimited number of things here.
Yes.
So one
But sir,
last
talking about the
question.
syllabus, should we stick to this whatever is taught in a week, or should we explore further?
Further, yeah. No, that's
See, there's again, as I said, right? So don't think that what we teach in the lecture is only Python. So if you want to explore, you must feel free and explore. It's
we can go for any other course or any other. We can take any other's help also if those who are expert in this field means.
Yeah, but see, no, see, okay, doing some other course is not what I had in mind. Because if you ask me, I may be biased, but we have designed this in a very neat manner so that if you follow this step by step, you will actually you'll be able to learn it in the proper way. So I mean, I don't mind you doing some other course, but that's not the point that I was trying to make. Uh, the point I'm trying to make is, try to, okay, so maybe I have been putting it in the wrong way. Try to be curious and uh, a little more adventurous when it comes to learning to program, right? So this window should be where you live most of the time, as far as this course is concerned. Not mugging up particular lines of code or anything, but trying out all possibilities in the console. You should create your own problems, right? So we can only create, say, 10 problems, 5 programming problems, but you must figure out your own problems. Say, for example, you can ask yourself, what are all possible ways of slicing a string, right? What if I want to find out extract, say, 3 characters from a particular location in a string, right? So these are, you should not be limited by the problems that we provide. So maybe that's what I have been trying to phrase, and I've been doing it wrongly. Okay, so live in the console, try to make the best use of it, create your own problems, try solving them, and that should really take care of most of the things.
Sir, one question, sir. Suppose in between the programming, I stuck somewhere and want to clear that thing. Now, since we have this Replit platform, what should I do? Means take a snapshot and then attach to the discourse forum, or should I give you the link to access how you read my program?
Okay, so in discourse you have this facility called okay, so this is there is something called backticks.
Okay, what is this?
Okay, so whenever you want to show me some code that you have written, always follow this. Put your code within backticks.
Okay.
Okay, why I'm saying this is, because this will retain this indentation and all that, which is very important in Python. Okay, if you don't follow this, then the code that you paste will appear bad. So it will be unformatted and it will look ugly generally. So
So
three
can you repeat?
backticks. Yeah, so 3 backticks.
3 backticks. Okay. Before printing any line, I mean, before writing any code, we have to first use the backtick, and then we have to print the, write the line, and again after that, we have to write a backtick.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is that clear?
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Sir, since many of us are also in normal college programs and we have our own like curriculum there, what is your suggestion for how we learn multiple languages at a time or side by side?
Okay, so if you are learning,
So if we're from a computer science like program.
Okay, so do your best not to mix up the 2 languages. So more than that, it could be tough, right? Say for example, if you're learning C++ and Python in parallel. Okay, so I haven't done it myself because I kind of was exposed to C++ before Python. Now, if you're facing that situation, yeah. So what difficulties are you facing now? So can you tell me that so that maybe I can try to answer accordingly?
Sir, in an upcoming course, I will have Java in addition to HTML, CSS, and this current Python. So I want to know how to should I approach learning these problems in learn them side by side approach for a problem in different languages, or like how to approach it?
Okay, see, this course, right? See, this course is mainly about programming and not about Python. Okay, so this might come as this might be shocking or this might come as a surprise to some, but we try to focus on programming. Okay, because programming is more fundamental than the programming language. Okay, and the programming skills that you acquire should be transferable. Yeah, right. So you get what I mean when I say that if you know how to write conditional statements in Python, then writing conditional statements in Java is not too different. Of course, there will be syntactical differences, but if you are logically sound, right? If you're sound in your logic, if you know how the basic constructs of both these languages work, you should be fine. You won't face too many difficulties. See, you might mix up.
Sorry to interrupt. I have just a general doubt, sir. Sir, would that slides be provided to us in the supplementary contents, the lecture PPT or slides?
Slides, I think I mentioned, right? Slides, we don't have slides for most of the weeks in Python.
And sir, talking about tomorrow's session, will the problems be same or quite different?
No, problems will be same. So we'll just be discussing the PPS that have been configured.
So can you share some extra problems so that
we'll see. So we'll see how it goes in these sessions, and then in upcoming weeks, if needed, we will augment it with new problems. Okay, so yeah, so that is regarding the programming languages, right? So coming to that, yeah, it shouldn't be too much of a problem is what I feel. If you know the basic constructs in both these languages.
Okay, so
Right, so I see, especially if HTML is not, HTML is a markup language, so you will not, it's very difficult to get confused with HTML and any other language, right? So that shouldn't be a problem. I don't see HTML as a big problem. The only problem might come from Java, because Java has say if statements, Python also has if statements, and right. So there are like so many things which are common to these two languages that syntax might be a trouble, but nothing else should be a problem. Okay, so I think we are done. So
Yes.
So can you upload this Replit file on portal, whatever you have taught today?
Yes.
yeah, so that I'll do that, and I'll also publish this so that you all have access to. So if you click on your Teams, right, you will be able to see this file.
So to enter into the Teams means first we have to log into the Replit through our student email ID, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So have you posted this?
Yeah, so I have published it, so you must be able to access it, all of you. Okay, so others who have been silent, anything that you would like to add, or shall we close?
Sir, I would like the Discord group link. That's fine. If anyone has it handy.
Discourse, you mean, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think so. Looks like invite hasn't gone out to some of you, so we'll look into that.
Sir, in this project is saying start project. Should we click on that?
Yeah. So this will become clear tomorrow. So others, anything else that you anyone has that you would like to record? Okay, so if there's nothing else, then we'll close the session, guys. So we'll tomorrow we'll meet again.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.